Hey, I'm Eric Gagne. You're listening to the Blue Review. Hi, I'm Yasser Pui, and you're watching the Blue Review.
Hey, welcome to a Friday edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcas Grant. That is Greg Bergman. We'll be joined in just a moment by Anthony Witrado. We were all watching the Street Fighter trailer before the show.
Marcus, I don't get it. I don't get you. We've been down this road before. We've seen what happens with Street Fighter movies, with Mortal Kombat movies. I watched the trailer. I know you're excited, but
I don't know if excited is the word, but it looks fun. Like, it looks like it could be a fun movie. I admit it could totally be trash by the time it comes out. And maybe it's because it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm still a little bit loopy. I have no idea, but
if you're excited, I'm excited. How about that?
It tickled all the right parts of me this morning. So so we'll go with that.
You think Witrado will?
I have no idea. Probably not, because he has good sense. Anyway, before we bring him in, I want to let you know the Blue Review is powered by LAX. We're taking off. Learn more about all the incredible changes happening now at LAX by going to lawa.org/ESPN. Let's bring in our friend Anthony Witrado to save us from our own madness about the Street Fighter movie and all sorts of other things. Good to see you on a Friday, Anthony.
Good to see you too. We were joking before we got on here that to me, it just feels like the executives at movie studios are going, "Hey, Chat GPT, write a script for a old video game from the 90s.
That's
and then turn it in."
That's probably not far off from what actually happened.
Well, that's true. But we've already been down this road. We've already seen these movies.
I can't believe we're old enough to already have a remake of Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah.
This is the third remake.
We live in a world with 3 Spider-Man 3s. I mean, so like
those are good.
I'm not going to argue. See all the Spider-Man behind me. I'm just telling you that, the Idea Factory has dried up a long time ago. Anyway, that's not the point of today's show. The point of today's show is talk about the Dodgers. They were off yesterday after finishing off a sweep of the New York Mets. Now they head to Colorado for a weekend series against the Rockies, who once upon a time were mildly hot and had won several in a row. Then they remembered that they were the Colorado Rockies. Now they're 7-12. So we'll see how this goes this weekend. But other things of interest note to talk about. Anthony, give me your concern level, understanding that it's still mid-April, over what is going on with Edwin Diaz right now.
Yeah, there's some concern. It would have been nice to see him get an opportunity in that last game before they blew it open. Just for the simple fact of it would have probably eased a lot of minds. If they were intent, and he was up and getting loose. So if they were intent on bringing him on, I think that eases some of the concern a bit. But the fact that and this is always the case, right, with Dodgers and how Doc sort of makes injuries public, in that it started as one thing, then it evolved to a different thing. Then it eventually became, oh, well, he's got some knee issues. It's like, what? What? That was not a thing a week ago at all. And so, you know what I mean? Like, it's frustrating to live through those progressions with Dave Roberts and the Dodgers. But and so that's why there's a little concern there, because it's like, okay, well, how serious is this knee thing? Maybe until we see him pitch, it might not completely go away. But I would say the concern level on a scale from 1 to 10 right now for me is a 3, only because they had him up and they were ready to put him in the game until it got busted open.
Yeah, I mean, Greg, you and I were there a couple nights ago, and we kind of hung around hoping, waiting to hear trumpets. Then after the Dalton Rushing grand slam and then the Kyle Tucker home run, we sort of knew that was kind of out the window. But your concern level, Greg, about Diaz, are we, obviously we're not panicked, but is this potentially more than they're letting on?
Not panicked, but I am convinced that Dave Roberts just likes to just mess around with us. That he does this on purpose. Like he gets a little bit of joy out of just messing with all of the Dodger YouTubers and all these different things, because he doesn't want to actually let out everything. He'll give you little information and then he'll change the information, and he just wants to keep us on our toes. It's a fun little game for him. He laughs in his office, but at the same time, no, I don't have much concern for it. I mean, I think the greatest thing for the Dodgers was that he didn't have to pitch in that game. I think they wanted to give him as much time as possible. I know he was up and he was getting ready. We couldn't see it. We were actually sitting there wondering that exact thing. Is he going to come out? Because our angle was not to be able to see that. But I do think the best thing for the Dodgers was like, they said, we don't even have to let him go out there. Just give him a little bit more time. But the problem is now he goes to Colorado and he's going to have to pitch in Colorado. And that place is just a hellhole for every single pitcher known to man, except for unless you're Hideo Nomo, then you know you're okay.
Something that I've enjoyed over the last 48 to 72 hours is watching Greg get so riled up at the thought of the Dodgers having to go to Colorado.
I hate the ballpark. All of it. I hate. I'm sorry to interrupt. Like I hate all of it. I think they should really just blow it up. It doesn't belong in baseball. It's a worthless stadium that doesn't actually work. Like you can't. No game is safe. It ruins records. It ruins people's. You go there, you hit really well, you get all screwed up, and then you go somewhere else and you're not. Then you can't hit the same. The place is just an absolute travesty of a stadium. Just blow it up. Shoot it into the moon. Get out of Colorado. Am I wrong, Anthony? Help me out.
That's damn. You could have just said you don't like when the Dodgers have to play there. That's you went next level with it for sure. Chat GPT, how do I bash Denver? Okay, I'll say this: like it is a fun house of baseball, just because of the atmosphere there. But the actual ballpark is cool. Being there is a good time. It's a nice stadium if you've ever been to it in person. It sits in downtown Denver, which is a pretty cool area. But to play baseball games there, yeah, the fact that they need a humidifier, and they're not the only place, right? Like I think Arizona has one too. But the fact that they need a humidifier, and it is maybe the most famous humidifier in North America, because everyone knows about it and why it's needed, is it's cartoonish baseball for sure.
It almost ended Kenley Jansen's career. Can we go back? Like, this place is just should not exist. And it.
All right. I feel like your issue isn't not necessarily with the ballpark. It is the city of Denver being 1 mile above sea level.
No, it's the ballpark. I mean, I went to Colorado. I went to Colorado for a year. I love Colorado. I went to games there. The place, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Colorado is beautiful. I love this. I love the city of Denver. I love everybody about that. But that ballpark, just get it out of my face.
Maybe it'll get Kyle Tucker right.
Okay.
No, and then he'll be ruined afterwards.
All right. But I feel like that's a great transition, right? Because I was kind of wanted to talk about Tucker. I mean, it does feel, Anthony, like he's starting to maybe find something. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's completely right, but he hit the ball hard 3 times on Wednesday night, including the home run. That came after him, getting the RBI single the night before on just a little flare into left field. So maybe it does feel like something's starting to turn for Tucker.
At the very least, his mind could be shifting. And, he saw the flare fall for the game-winning RBI. He hit the ball hard in the finale, hit the home run, which I called in our group chat, by the way. Was that late? But
no, it doesn't count. No,
I count. We'll put an asterisk next to it. Like
the at bat I called it in. If he was a believer in launch angle, that thing would have been over the pavilion. That was the one that he lined out. That was like 108 miles an hour.
You're trying to take away from Marcus. He called Max Muncy. He actually called.
Look, I'm willing to give credit to.
He did. But no, look, I think at the very least, seeing some balls being hit hard, seeing some flares, fall in for hits and find grass, helping the BABIP a little bit. I know Greg's very much into that. I think those are probably good for the mental state of Kyle Tucker as much as the physical one. And so, going into Denver, keeps that same approach maybe and finds some success there and starts to get hot, starts to turn the corner, and we kind of forget about these first 2 weeks for the rest of the season.
I mean, I think too, as much as I think everybody's frustrated, right? The fans are hoping to see more. I know Tucker himself is hoping to produce more than what he has so far. All that being said, I mean, the 239 average isn't great. Still a couple home runs, 11 RBIs. I mean, Greg, we were talking the other night, like, for as frustrating as Kyle Tucker has been, I mean, could be worse, right? They could have Mets problems. Like, you look across the way and see what the Mets are doing offensively. And Tucker looks like he's absolutely raking by comparison. So I guess that's, again, champagne problems for Dodger fans, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But first of all, for the Tucker thing, because he hit those 3 hard balls in the other night game, on Wednesday night game, he's starting to find it. I think I was always not worried that he was going to turn it around, and he's going to turn it around. You see that's the thing that's going to start to happen. He just needed to it happened with Shohei when he first got here. Remember, it took him a little bit.
Yeah, 8 games before you hit a home run for the Dodgers.
It just was. It's sometimes when you get to a new team, like you really want to impress, and like you're pressing. I think that's just what it was, and he's going to figure it out. By the end of the year, we're going to be looking at Kyle Tucker like, oh man, okay, he's the second best hitter on the team kind of situation, and that's most likely the thing to happen. For him and Coors, I think you're right, Anthony. It will probably help him. I'm more worried about what happens to Tyler Glasnow in Coors, because this is again, it's a pitcher's worst nightmare. He's pitching tonight. This is the type of thing where he's having some issues with walks. He's having some issues with home runs. What happens to Tyler Glasnow tonight? Because that's really the big storyline that goes in the pitchers. Him, Roki Sasaki, and Emmett Sheehan, 3 pitchers that tend to have a little bit of an issue, are going to a hellhole of a ballpark.
I'm not too worried about Glasnow. I think he's good enough, and the Rockies lineup is the Rockies lineup enough that he'll be all right. Roki is an interesting one pitching there for me. I think that he might have to rely a whole lot on that splitter or forkball or whatever you would call it, because the slider might not do exactly what he wants. And if he's not, if the fastball command has basically been what we've seen it be, one of the pitches that can play in altitude because it's because he doesn't want it to spin a lot is that forkball. And so, he might have to spam that thing for 4 or 5 innings. And luckily it's the Rockies lineup. So as long as he can get that fastball somewhere around the strike zone, I think he'll be okay. But I think in this situation, he might be relying a lot on that forkball more than usual.
Weirdly, I'm not going to say I don't worry about Roki at Colorado, but I think, if he's giving up home runs, as bad as that would be, that feels like progress, because it does mean he's throwing strikes, which is kind of the thing we want from him. The concern is, he walks 2 or 3 guys and then gives up the home run. Right. I would rather, if he gives up a series of solo shots, that feels, I know this it just sounds counterintuitive, but it feels a lot better than if he's giving up 2 and 3 run homers, which, could be sort of the case. If he looks sort of the way he has in previous starts. I mean, that being said, Greg, where are we in the Roki journey right now? Because 2 starts ago, the line didn't look good, but there seemed to be progress. Last time out, the line looked better, but the process looked kind of sloppy. I mean, where are you in this Roki Sasaki journey right now?
I mean, we pay attention to every start, right? Like, this is a guy that we have to pay attention to absolutely every start because of that dichotomy between those 2 outings. I think this is another outing where we really, I don't know how much we can take out of it because it's at Coors, but also you have to pay attention because once Blake Snell comes back, I think this is a really important time from now until probably the middle of May for Sheehan and Robleski and Roki. And I think Roki is probably going to be the odd man out in all of this if he doesn't pick it up. He's got great stuff. I mean, you talked about the forkball and the splitter. You talked about how great it can be. But if he's starting to, again, if he cannot find the plate, It's the walks. The walks are the biggest thing out of all of that. If you cannot figure out how to throw strikes, then the Dodgers have no use for you up at the big club. When Snell comes back and you stay in the 6-man rotation, he has about a month to figure out, if you can't do it, you're going to go back down to AAA. I understand that they say over and over again, oh, we want him up with the big club because he can learn with the big club. If he can't figure it out in the next month, he's going to go back down. They're going to keep Robleski up. They're going to keep Sheehan up. And then you have Snell. I think this is a big, big month.
I mean, is that where you're at, Anthony? Is this sort of, prove it time for Roki for the next 4-6 weeks or so?
Sort of. So it sort of is. And mostly, yes, I agree with Greg. I will say that Robleski's greatest value on this current roster is his flexibility. And so I don't think he's a lock for the rotation, despite what he did in the last start. I do think, though, with that said, Roki has to show real progress to getting to the point where the Dodgers want him to be. And if he doesn't, then I think it is a conversation of, because right now, I don't think it's a matter of his stuff playing in the big leagues anymore. I think he's put that to bed. He had the flat fastball last year and all of that stuff, right? All of that sort of underlying chatter that was going on about him. I think he's put it to bed this year that the pitches that he's using right now can play at the big league level. The issue is the command of the fastball. If he can show progress that he is making strides to get that thing in the zone and being able to control it, and not just control it, but starting to put it in the quadrants that he wants to, then I think he is longer for this rotation than he looks like he is right now. Minus that, if he goes out in his next 6 starts, all look like, dude, how can you not throw the fastball anywhere near where you want it to be? Then I think it's a situation where the Dodgers might send him down, because then it's not so much about development. I think, again, that's why I mentioned the stuff. The development with that, I think, is progressing. The development, or I should say, whatever is holding him back from being able to throw the fastball for strikes, that's a different issue altogether. And I think for that reason, even if the Dodgers think he's too good to really get better at in the minor leagues, he's not good enough command-wise to go down there and try to fix that problem. I think it's two different things for him. And so if he's continuing to show a lack of progress with that part of it, then I think sending him down is absolutely the move.
This is one I think we're all gonna sort of wait and see. We'll get another glimpse at it coming up this weekend with him in Colorado pitching. He's pitching the finale, right? He's throwing on Sunday.
It's Glasnow, Sheehan, Roki. But I got a question for both of you.
Sure.
Right now, he's a starter, and they want him to be a starter and everything else. At the end of the year, when it comes to the playoff time, where do you predict he will be? AAA, bullpen, starter. You got 3 choices.
He's not going to be a starter. There's no chance.
Yeah, I don't see that.
He could post a 3.1 ERA from starting on Sunday to the rest of the season. He's not going to be in the rotation if the other 4 guys are healthy, like at all. Yeah. So I think that if he does show that he can command the fastball at any point throughout this season, I think he ends up as a bullpen piece in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Cause I think they really are going to give him every opportunity, and unless he somehow really just melts down along the way, I just don't see him in AAA. And even if he does go there for a stint, I think he comes back. So I think bullpen is probably the most logical option for him at this point.
So what does that look like? I know we're going way far in advance, and it's a whole months and months away. But at the same time, where's that? Because he wouldn't be the closer like he was last year. I mean, you have Edwin Diaz, Tanner Scott, Blake Treinen, who are all pitching well. So if it's not in the rotation and it's a reliever, is he become a guy just a piggyback type of guy like they did last year in the playoffs?
Could you do that if he's not? I mean, again, this all is dependent on him sort of finding himself a little bit to be the piggyback guy, because that's a guy that you want at least a little bit of length out of, 3 innings or so. I don't know. He just seems like a situational guy. You come in, you get your 3 hitters, or you try to finish out an inning. That seems like the best case scenario for him.
Yeah, I think he probably ends up as a situational guy. I think considering the issues that he's been having, and to get to October, he would have to have gotten better with these issues. But still, I think you want him with the clean inning. I don't think you want to put him on there with 2 guys on because of those command issues. He walks 2 guys and suddenly it turns into a disaster. And so I think probably situational in that way, 6th, 7th inning kind of guy, because I think they're going to have people like Tanner Scott and Blake Trinan and Alex Vesia who are going to be good enough, and maybe even Brock Stewart, who are going to be good enough to pitch in front of Edwin Diaz in the 9th. And so it might be a situation where, like, okay, this looks like a good spot in the lineup for Roki, and they can use him in that way. I don't think he'll have a defined role like, hey, you're the setup man per se. But he's also not a fireman, right? Because, like I said, I don't think you can trust him to come in the middle of an inning in a jam.
So I think that's interesting too, isn't it? Because last year he was trusted. He was the closer. He was when you needed big outs, you went to Roki Sasaki.
It's not that they wouldn't trust him; it's that they have a closer.
Yeah, and when last year just felt like, last year was just, we just need to try anything. They just needed
he was
somebody
fantastic.
to get out. he was fantastic, but it really was, they sort of backed into that one because they were out of options as to what to do in the 9th inning of games, right? Trinan was terrible. Scott was terrible. I don't think they felt comfortable putting Vesia there. This was really a break glass in case of emergency thing last year with Roki, and it worked out.
Yeah, it did, and it was great. I just feel like if in that smaller role where he just has to come in for 1 inning, I don't know. He just seems to be was a different pitcher. So with the being,
I think because in those short stints, you can really mask your deficiencies. When you got to get through a lineup, that's a whole different story. Then those command issues, they really start to rear their head. And for him, he can get through 3 hitters. Like, he's shown that even this season, that like if he gets it around the zone, he can get through the inning and he can strike out 2 guys and make them look silly. So a relief role, I think in that way, I think he's totally suitable for that this season. Turning him into a reliever long term, which I know is on a lot of people's minds, that's not going to happen anytime soon with this organization.
Totally agree with that.
I see in the chat Bubba Holmberg saying that Roki may be a Pirate or Tiger by October. I will say not likely unless somehow they're talking about sending Skeens or Scooble back the other way. So
yeah, he's still. I think he's 20. Did he turn 24 yet? So he's still young. We have to give him a little bit of time.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess it's an interesting thought experiment, but no, I don't see Roki being on the trade block anytime soon.
And I don't see those 2 guys moving anytime soon, unless the Tigers totally fall out of the race. Like, they would have to collapse.
Yeah, they just signed Scooble to the big 1-year deal. They're gonna ride that as long as they possibly can before they gotta move on from that. They're 10-9. They're a game back. It's early. They're still very much in. He says that's why he picked those 2 teams. I think he was sort of wish casting a Scooble or Skeens.
The Pirates are not trading Skeens, but they're not. It's going to be a while before he's on the trade block, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. That's about all the time we got. Anthony, anything new at Dodger Blue 1958 for you guys?
Yeah, we got. Everybody knows that Jeff departed Dodger Blue. And we miss him. I miss him. That was my partner in debate every week. So that's a tough loss for us. But we got Scott Gehrman back, who's hosting a couple nights a week now, and that's been a nice shot in the arm for us. And then I think I'm going to be starting to host our Sunday shows. So that'd be a cool little thing going. I'm doing this one coming up, and then I'm helping out on some Lakers coverage too, so it kind of depends on what that series looks like. But I think people can find me on Sundays pretty consistently moving forward.
Cool, awesome.
So Lakers Nation also.
Yeah, doing Lakers Nation stuff with Trevor Lane, and so breaking down post game stuff during this first round at least.
Very cool. Yeah, that gets up and running on Saturday with the Lakers and the Rockets, which is I'm sure you'll be able to hear about on the Sedano and Cap Morning Extravaganza, as well as on Lakers Nation, the former coming up right after us here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Anthony, as always, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks to Carlo for getting us up and on this morning. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I almost called him Kylo Ren. I have no idea. Anyway, for Anthony, for Greg, I'm Marcus. It's been the Blue Review presented by LAX. We will see you on Monday, 6:30 to 6:55 to wrap up the weekend series in Colorado. See you, everybody.
See ya.
Oh, man.
All right. Good stuff, guys.